Hello everyone, it's Chantal here again and welcome back to my channel where we'll continue to learn applicable principles and simple practical steps that will help us to bloom and flourish in our everyday lives. Today we'll be looking at how to deal with tough seasons in our lives. Even though as humans we are not really strangers to tough seasons, it still remains a very sensitive and complex thing to discuss because to one person a tough season could be physical, to another it's mental, to one it's emotional, to another it's even spiritual. And it comes in all different forms. It could be failure in life's endeavors, it could be facing rejection, losing a job or a business. It could even be the death of a loved one. People face hardship with schools, challenges with their health. It could even be war and natural disasters. The list goes on and on and on. That is why in this video today, we're not going to be looking at solutions to a specific problem, but rather principles that we can take and then apply it in our own lives in a way that is specific to that situation that you're going through. So among these things we're going to be talking about today are things that I have applied or I'm still applying. There are things that I've observed my family apply during their tough seasons, and somewhere I'm hoping that as we share, it will also benefit you and help you, even if it's in the slightest way possible, through your tough season. The first thing that can help us during our tough seasons is if we consider it as a refining process. And I understand it is difficult, very difficult to see any good in your pain, but most often there is. It's in our pain that we are equipped for a greater cause. And sometimes it's in our pain that we get correction. It's the time that God takes to remove the little foxes that are spoiling the vine, bringing us to a place of maturity and equipping us ready for a greater work. I was listening to the song Different by Micah Tyler, and just before that song, he shares a little story of a trying time in his life when his family was plagued with sickness, natural disaster, and he kept asking God, change this, Lord, when will this stop? But he said the pain was so much that he changed his prayer to, God, change me, walk in my life so that I'll be able to see these things differently and walk through my trying times differently. This is a very difficult prayer to pray. There have been times when my lips are saying that, God, let thy will be done. God, I know there's something good in this situation. But in my heart, I'm like, God, just change this, stop this, or give me that thing that I want, or answer me in the way that I want you to answer me and at the time that I want you to answer me. The gift of patience at times is wrapped up in that delay. Maybe the humility that you need tomorrow when you get into your harvest season is wrapped up in that embarrassing situation of today. I remember some years back when I was taking the exams to obtain my license, I did not make it the first time like I thought I was going to. And that was a very humbling experience for me. When that happened to me, I was able to look back at some friends I know who had been going through failure, repeatedly, and I could only imagine what that had meant to them at the time, especially if they have been ridiculed for, not making it in school. So that experience not only humbled me, it also equipped me because over the years, I've had so many people who share with me their hardship with school, and in my own little way, I'm able to understand them and offer my little help if I can. Usually when we are faced with a friend who is going through grief, I always know that my husband is in a better position to say something that will make sense because he himself has gone through grief, losing a brother, losing his dad. We all may cry and mourn, but that pain is very personal. That grieving, nobody else can understand it like he understands it. So when somebody who is grieving says something or is acting in a certain way, he knows exactly where that is coming from, and he's able to reach out and help in a way that is more meaningful. The Bible says that with the same measure that we have been comforted in our trying times, we should reach out and comfort others. So whatever tough seasons you have been in, you have received your own little measure of comfort. Some great, some small. But whatever measure of comfort you have received, comfort another person with that same measure. So know that in tough seasons, we do go through refining process. And a refining process hurts. It's like going through fire. But be encouraged. That fire is not there to consume you. That fire is there to refine you so that you will come out on the other side as pure as gold, ready for great influence. Number 2 is the hardest, but it's the most important thing that we need to go through the tough seasons in our lives, and that is to guard your heart with all diligence. Tough seasons have a way of revealing to us some things that we did not even know were on the inside of us. And it also has a way of, awakening some weaknesses that we had already dealt with. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're looking at somebody who is going through a tough season, right? And they're acting in a very funny way. And you're like, that cannot be me. I don't think I can be that resentful. I don't think I can be that angry. Or I don't think I can go to this kind of length to look for the solution to my problem. And then you find yourself in a similar situation. And you just realize that you're acting in the same way or even worse. You're becoming like Sarah in the Bible, trying to help God bring that promise to pass. And the very first thing to do to guard your heart is to be honest about your feelings. Be honest about your feelings and your expectations. Denying how you feel is not self-control, but denying its ability to overpower you, that's self-control. We often find it hard to be honest with our feelings because it's either we are afraid that we will be judged for feeling that way, or there has been a set timeline within which you must get over your pain, you must get over your grief. And when that set time is over and you haven't really gotten over it, then you become dishonest about it. You hide it. At times, we even hide it from God. We want to look holy. We make these holy prayers. No, God expects us to come before Him open and transparent. Tell Him how you feel. Tell Him your expectations. It's in the middle of that conversation with God that you will find healing. And then His peace will do what? It will guard our hearts and our minds, because that's where the battle is when we're going through tough times. Another thing you can do to help guard your heart is to keep positive thoughts. Recently, my women's Bible study group just finished studying a book titled The Lies Women Believe and the Truth That Sets Them Free. After going through this book, I realized that we cannot just wish negative thoughts away. There are lies that we can only negate with truth. So I encourage you to pull yourself up and find time to study God's word, even in the middle of your storm. Surround yourself with people who speak God's truth in your life. Sometimes I'm driving to work and I'm a little bit downcast and a song just pops up. And the wordings are just addressing certain lies that the enemy has up here. And that makes a big difference in the rest of my day. You can also guard your heart by moving away from all the noise that is going on around you in your tough season. And by getting away, I do not mean that you should isolate yourself, because that's another big trick of the enemy when people are going through tough times. He wants to isolate you physically from the things you should be doing mentally, emotionally, isolating you spiritually so he can attack you. It's true that sometimes you really need to maybe physically cut down from some activities or things if you've been all over the place. But really what I'm saying is that you should create a quiet place on the inside of you where you are calm, you can hear God clearly, and you can embrace that peace that will guard your heart and your mind. You can also seek to pour into somebody else. And I know you may be thinking, I can hardly get out of bed now, you want me to save the whole world. No, I'm just talking about simple random acts of kindness that you do expecting nothing in return. It could be as simple as giving somebody a smile that comes from within, or a heartfelt thank you. Doing this takes away that feeling of worthlessness and brings you to a place where you feel very much refreshed. I have a friend who used to call me like, Chantal, are you free this weekend? Let us go to the soup kitchen, help out with the homeless people. So she will come and we'll get there and just ask God to use us to be a blessing. But what was amazing was that when I got back home, after such a long day, I would be doing activities with so much joy on the inside of me, because there's really a joy when you pour out into somebody else. Also try to pour into yourself. Tough times have a way of making us just get so tired on the inside that we can neglect even our own selves. And when I say pour into yourself, I'm not talking about anything extravagant. Take a good shower, take care of yourself, maybe go for a walk. Get a friend, you guys go do window shopping at the mall. Get around with your family, talk, laugh, and just have fun. Those things bring a lot of relief and guard your heart from doing something or thinking something that you really did not want to be doing or thinking. At times we feel like, well, I did not guard my heart, I blew it up, I made things worse, there is no hope for me. I just want to encourage you that there is hope. We serve a God who is loving, He's forgiving, and above all, He restores. So seek God, ask Him for forgiveness, receive that forgiveness, and then you'll be able to also forgive those who have hurt you during that trying time. It's important that we do not carry the baggage from winter into summer. When we learn to guard our hearts in tough times, it makes us master our emotions so that when we get into our harvest season, we'll be able to handle success with more humility. Another thing that can be helpful during tough seasons is to try to enjoy the good times even within that season. A hardship in our life can easily overshadow every other good thing that is happening in our lives. I understand why this is difficult because the different aspects of our lives are not like separate entities. Everything is kind of interconnected. So when one thing is not going right, it tends to affect the other thing. So I'm not saying we should, separate it, but rather we should focus more on the things that are going well in our lives. What you feed grows. If you're looking left and right and you can't find one good thing to hold on to, then I would encourage you that you can hold on to your own past testimonies and the testimonies of others. Look back at those times that God saved you with a mighty hand. The times that I have to look back and say, oh my goodness, if God could take me through that, He will take me through this. You can also draw strength from the testimonies of others. I love to read victory stories. Somewhere it inspires me, and brings back hope alive. So focus on the good things that are happening in your life right now, or draw back from positive testimonies in your life, or even get inspired by the testimony of another person. It goes a long way to help you through your tough season. Before I conclude with the last point, there is this one thing I would just like to bring up, that it's important to prepare for tough times. This is something we normally should do before we come into our tough season, but it's unfortunate that it's only when we're in a tough season that we realize how unprepared we are. There's this little story about two squirrels who were friends, and they would go out and play in the park and eat from the crumbs that families drop. Once in a while, one of the squirrels will go find nuts and store, and the other one was like, why are you storing nuts? We always have more than enough crumbs here to eat, and at times we can't even finish everything. Why are you storing nuts? But what this squirrel forgot was that when winter will come, there will be no families at the park to drop things for him to eat. During good times in our lives, we could easily forget, that tough times will come. And we could treat our body as if sickness will never come. We could treat our loved ones as though they will always be there. We could treat friendships and relationships as though they will never be tried. Try not to laugh at somebody in your good times as though seasons will never change for you. Do not spend money like you will always have that job. Don't treat God as if you don't need Him or will never need Him. Let's prepare for tough seasons. And if you feel like, well, I did not prepare, this is not a time to beat yourself up. We all have those times when we look back and see lost opportunities, we see lost time. And if you want to start looking back now, all it will bring is sadness and regret. Look forward and trust that God is going to restore. And lastly, it's important that we should seek help. Seek help in your time of trouble. We do not know everything. Somewhere out there, somebody knows something that can help us in the situation that we are going through. And I understand why people do hold back from seeking help. There are people who have been betrayed in the past. They opened up to somebody and the next minute it was all over the place. Other people are afraid of ridicule. They are ashamed. My husband and I had this project that we had been working on, and then 2 years ago, God connected us to this amazing couple. They had the same project, so we're able to come together, share ideas. We learned a lot from them. Until today, we are grateful to God, and we know that God had ordered our steps for that connection to happen. I know we live in a day and time where people turn to hide the secret to their success, but there are many more people out there ready to just give out, to help, to share, than there are people who want to ridicule and make fun of your situation. So seek help. And do not minimize any form of help. Help comes in different forms. God can send somebody in your life just to comfort you and give you a shoulder on which you can cry. Another person may be equipped with the tools that you need to get you through your tough season. And there can yet be another person who is just there to motivate you, to push you up when you are kind of sinking into despair, to say, wake up, get up, you can still make it. So help comes in different ways. Above all, seek help from God. We often shy away from seeking God's help because we feel like we blew it, we've made things worse, and either God is not willing to help us anymore, or it's just so bad that He cannot help us. Yes, He will help. He's our ever-present help in time of trouble. He loves us unconditionally and He will forgive and restore. We also shy away from seeking God's help because somewhere we doubt the fact that He means well for us. We cast our cares on the Lord and then we take it back. We give Him the wheel and then we go back again and take it because He's either not driving us in the direction that we want to go, or He's driving us not as fast as we want to go. I just want to encourage us that trust God in your tough times and trust everything into His hands. His plans for you are good. He will never leave you nor forsake you. We are pressed but not crushed. We are struck down but not destroyed. And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So please be encouraged. May the Lord bless you and may the Lord keep you. If there's anything you have done in the past or are doing right now that's helping you deal with tough seasons, please do share in the comment section below because somebody is going to be blessed. And if you have any questions to ask, or there is something that I mentioned in passive and you would love for us to discuss it in more details, I would really appreciate if you leave that in the comment section below as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful to you in some way, and see you next time.